Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the SPHN webinar. This is actually the fourth edition of our new webinar series dedicated to the topic of infrastructure and process development in the 5 Swiss university hospitals for the responsible and efficient secondary use of routine healthcare data. Over the past 6 years, SPHN has supported the university hospitals in the development of its data infrastructures, not only on the financial side, but also, and more importantly, in terms of standardization endeavors and interoperability efforts, with the aim of not only enabling hospitals for the use of this data in a secondary use process, but also in particular enabling the cost and time efficient gathering and linkage of this routinely collected healthcare data from across multiple hospitals for research purposes. In today's issue, Solange Zoergiebel, head IT data science of the University Hospital of the Canton Vaud, the CHUV, will inform us about the developments undertaken in the data area at the CHUV over the last years. Thank you very much, Solange, for taking the time. We look forward to learn about what organizational structures have emerged at the CHUV, what infrastructures have been established, and also what challenges arise or are still arising around the use of routinely collected health data for research purposes. Thank you very much. The floor is yours, Solange.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and thank you very much to organize this webinar. I'm very happy to present what we are doing at the CHUV regarding how we support research and innovation through what I call a data strategy and what we have implemented to be able to present you what we have implemented. I wanted to also highlight that, as you mentioned, it's the fourth presentation. For all the university hospitals are also doing this webinar. So I'm also very happy that you will see some similarities in what I'm presenting versus to what the other hospital, Basel, Insel, and Zurich have already presented, but I think it's also a sign of the success of the initiative, because SPHN, one of the goals was also to ensure that there's collaboration, that there's synergy, that at also national level, what we are building is also coherent. And those similarities that you will see are a good sign of it. But of course, I will also focus on what we are doing at the CHUV and how we tackle it at the CHUV. So I will start with re-explaining the why we are doing that. It's maybe obvious for most of you, but I will talk slightly about innovation and data and really the why, what is the motivation for the CHUV, for University Hospital to go through this journey. So everybody is aware of the avalanches of data, that's biomedical data, which are generated every day, which are an unprecedented opportunities for medical advancement, but as well, it has its part of challenges for data interpretation and data management. So yes, tomorrow care, and not only tomorrow, it is already starting. The care is becoming more and more data-driven patient care. So it's a must now for healthcare institutions who are working on research and innovation to enable to advance into this data-driven innovative project supporting data-driven care. And as I say, I put tomorrow care at the beginning, but it's already the case today. If we look at the CHUV, we have around 80% of the overall clinical research, which is already based on the capacity to analyze patient data. So what hospitals need to ensure and to enable, and this is also what we are doing through the journey of the infrastructure we are setting up, is that we need to ensure that we get the data, that we are fulfilling also regulatory compliance and data protection, because the patients are more likely to share their data if they trust its security and the way we manage them. And also we need to ensure modern and innovative platforms for researchers who need now a secure and modern innovative platform to get insight from the data. And the last part, which is key, is collaboration and sharing. And because an institution itself cannot handle, or do not have enough data to be able to really promote this evolution. So data needs to be fair, data needs to be findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable, so that we can build this collaboration and facilitate the data-driven application and the development of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this is the context, and this is what we have in mind when we are setting up the data structures. So what it means at the CHUV, how would we move towards this data-driven landscape? Before I go in the technology and data, which will be the core of my presentation of what we have set up, I think it's very important to highlight that there are 4 axes which are very important to tackle in the way we are moving forward to make it successful. There is a legal framework, the respect and the security of patient data, of course, technology and the fast evolution of technology enabling the analysis of data and the data itself. And all this is governed as well through the institution, and having a governance processes and clear roles and responsibility is also a key. And to address that, collaboration within the institution or outside the institution is a must. At the CHUV, and this is what I wanted to highlight here, there was a data governance board set up already in 2023, who are addressing those 4 axes. And this governance board really address the different pillars, that I mean law and security, how do we proceed with data management, data quality, that we have an alignment on technology, and as well the partnership that we are building through those collaboration. And this, of course, needs many actors in the institution. So this governance board is encompassing the different domains which are absolutely mandatory to engage to make this data-driven change successful. So first, the institution itself needs to have sponsored this, and we have a strong sponsorship from the Directorate Research and Innovation at the CHUV. The clinical units are also involved. Of course, the key departments at the CHUV who are building all this are the IT department, where I'm belonging to, but also the key department is the Biomedical Data Science Center, which has been created in the CHUV in 2022, which is really focusing on promotion of data science and artificial intelligence within the hospital. And of course, the legal departments and are also part of this board. So this, just to highlight, it's a must, as I would say. It requires very adequate collaborative interface between those different stakeholders, and the effort to make this work should not be underestimated. And but it's a key dimension. So having said that, I will now move more to exactly what we have set up in the last years at the CHUV. More talking now about technology and data. So what does it mean to move to a data landscape? So if I look at the situation today, we can say, yes, hospitals are already digital. We have plenty of application. At the CHUV, I think we are close to 300. If I look at how many systems we have to handle our data, we have systems to handle care, to handle patient administration, we have ERPs, we have analytics, we have specific application to manage innovation and research. But those applications are very siloed. They have not been built. At the time they were not built into a data mindset, so they are very disconnected. And then we need to move from this siloed, fragmented digital platform to a connected world where it's data-driven, where we improve the access to data, where we deliver high quality and harmonized data. We ensure the synergy between this integrated, non-integrated ecosystem, and this can drive to creating this data-driven culture. So it means for us, we present it as 3 very important layers. The base layer, which is the data and the IT itself, where the data is stored, it's built. Then the capacity to use this data for researchers, the capacity to run analytics and the services which can be provided by the hospital to support that, which ultimately support research and innovation and the development of artificial intelligence and better management of the data. So at the CHUV, for that, we are building this application, which is called HORUS. It's not an application, it's an ecosystem of application and services. HORUS stands for Hospital Research Unified Data and Analytics Services, which is an integrative platform for research and digital innovation. So the goal is really to provide support to researchers, having clinical data reuse, enabling clinical data reuse, easily data extraction, all this done in a secure way, compliant with ethics and regulation, and which enable advanced analytics and AI. And this we do it both for internal projects, but as well for multi-centric national initiatives, such as in SPHN. SPHN is a big enabler to promote this initiative, also international as well projects. So if I present still the concept of Horus, how it works, for us, the goal is to say, okay, we have the data in the center, so what we call Horus data, which is really for the data stewards managing the data, where we provide, as I say, an ecosystem of systems, of services to manage multimodal biomedical data. So it goes from the data storage of those data, the capacity to work on the quality, the data quality management of the data, to also work on the interoperability, to transform data so it's becoming interoperable and in compliance with the fair data principle. And then we manage also the access, the data access, and the reuse and the governance of the data. And then Horus is like an onion, as you see, with circles. And then around the data, then there is all these Horus analytics and services, which we are building more for the data consumers, the researchers who need access to this data, by providing them trustable and scalable analytics and collaborative platforms, to do some cohort discovery, tools also to reuse the data with a different level of granularity of this data. Some might have only aggregated data or synthetic data or de-identified data, and also the tools to analysis or to search the data through cataloging systems. So this was to present you the concept and the why and what is our strategy and how we are building the platform and the infrastructure to support this. Now I will go more in the practical example of showing, okay, in terms of architecture, what it means, what has been built in the hospital, and to also highlight with some use case examples of what we have concretely done and what we are still concretely doing to move towards this journey. So Horus, which you had the concept before, so technically how it looks like. So you have at the left part of the screen the data sources, those, as mentioned, more than 100 applications, which are holding some data, some patient data in the hospital. And then on the right part, you have the end users. You have the researchers, you have the data analysts, the data scientists who need access to this data. And then you have the first pillar, I would say, which is the Horus data, where we have what we call a Schick lakehouse, is the term we use. Well, it's not really the right term, but it's really where we are landing, where we are centralizing all this data to be able to make it available for the users. We have then the fair data, which is extremely important when we talk about sharing the data, and I will come with more detail of each of these. So this is where we are really addressing collaboration and the possibility to really enable collaboration in AI. But as well, we are also working on what are the environments, what are the tools that we are providing to the researcher to be able to facilitate the work of the researcher, of the data scientist, to run those services. So now I will zoom a bit in those three different parts to show you concretely what we are currently doing at the CHUV. So if I first zoom on what we call the CHUV lakehouse, this is the place where we land, in fact, the data from those different sources. The first pillar is, of course, our data warehouse. As I think all the hospital in the other presentation we have seen, we have all built that. This is a place where we are, you see this table on the bottom right is the source system which are currently integrated. We are centralizing all patient data into this central data warehouse, which enable to facilitate also to give access to this data for researchers in a secured way. So currently we have, you see the green boxes are the one which are already integrated, the light green are the one which are in the process, the white are the one which are not yet integrated. This picture is not the latest one. I think it was at the beginning of 2022. So we are moving, and you can see that already quite a lot are integrated. So we have around today more than 2 million patients data and 9 million visits which are recorded, which is enable us to provide, to support researcher in getting much faster access to this data than in the past. And we are currently answering around 350 data extraction requests coming from researchers who need data. So, but of course, we have these services to run extraction for the researchers, but we are also developing and implementing solutions where they can be autonomous and where they can themselves go and query this data warehouse. So, for example, we have built this Horus, what we call Horus Explorer, which is an I2B2 solution, which enable researchers to do some identify their cohort by defining the variables. For example, if they want to know how many patients would answer certain criteria, to know if they can start a project, they can themselves run these queries. This solution is plugged onto the data warehouse, so it's a patient scope is the full scope of the data warehouse, and we have around 200 users already who have used this system to do their exploration. Another very important tool which has been developed in collaboration with Sigmalis and at the CHUV, which is now live for several years, is the application Horus Consent, which is an application to manage the consent status of the patients. So it enables, we have at the CHUV a unit, the consent management unit, who are in contact with the patients, who are following up what is the status, are those patients sign a general consent or not, are there specific consent. So this tool enables to do a live tracking of this status, and it also helps researchers to know if they start a project, to be able to, when they have identified their cohort, to have a constant information of what is the consent status of the patient that they have included in their research project. So currently we have around 363 projects registered in this platform, for which are under general consent, 142 which are under specific consent. And what is also another functionality that we provide is once the researcher have built their cohort, they know which patient they can include based on the consent, then this tool also provide them the coding or the patient identifier for their project. So this is also something which is helping a lot, and the researcher during the course of their project. And it's also integrated with the data warehouse. When there is a restitution of data, we also can check, okay, are we in line with the consent status? Another platform which has been built is Horus Registry, which also highlights the added value of having built those central data warehouse. So in a whole hospital, there are a lot of registries built for clinical or for research purpose, where department and services, they build a database to follow up certain information about patients. There is already a regulation framework at the CHUV around that, but we have also implemented an institutional system called DData, where we enable, because today most of these registries are based on Excel. We have more than 180, and the big majority in Excel, which is extremely difficult to ensure that data is managed in a compliant way. So this institutional platform ensures this compliant way of the way they manage the data, but it also enables automatic upload from the data warehouse, because with all those registries, there was a lot of data managers who were manually entering data in the systems, and then we really accelerate and support them in providing them in an automatic way data to fill in their registries. And here I would say, and this is the two graphs above are highlighting, I think when we can see that something is successful, I would say the first diagram on the top right show how the demand is progressing. So the solution went live in October 2022, and we saw the green line is the demand of people who want to use, and the purple one is the implementation that we are doing. So we see that the demand is growing. Also, we don't do a lot of advertising around it, so it means it really answers a need, and it really improves those researchers and those medical staff. And here I also put for which department we are setting up this solution, and to highlight that it's really not for one specific service. We have really a lot of oncology, surgery, medicine interne, neuroscience. So we see that it's really multidisciplinary what we are doing with having these central data platforms. After just one slide about multimodal, because what I've presented to now is more what we have built regarding clinical data, which is in a structured way that we are loading into this data warehouse, but we are also setting up infrastructure and tools to be able to manage multimodal data. And so starting with images, we have a service now which is called Horus Image, which is built on the two platforms, Keops and Karnak, where thanks to all this ecosystem of Horus and having those two dedicated image platform, we can support researchers in getting for their research project data which are currently in the PACS system. So we can restitute in a de-identified way the images for their project in a secure way that can be after also linked with clinical data. So to move really from the clinical data, which is identified data stored in the PACS, to really de-identified data, images and clinical data linked together. So what we are currently also implementing through an SPHN project is also a platform to manage IoT data coming from wearables, where we are implementing the platform called RadarBase, which enable to collect live to stream data coming from wearables without having the necessity to go through the proprietary cloud of those devices. And as well to be able to capture also questionnaires from those patients. So this is also something which we foresee to help a lot research, because now when researchers want to use wearables, they all wonder, okay, where can I get this data? And we really expect that having this central platform would be an enabler. RadarBase is really positioning themselves as device independent and pathology independent, so that you can easily connect to the device. Of course, you need the approval from the device itself, but we are currently implementing that. And we have also a platform to manage samples, so with biobanks, which is a slim solution. So this was to give you some concrete example of what we are achieving with what we call the CHUV Lakehouse, how we can improve the life of the researchers by providing them easier access to the data. And this, what I presented currently, is based really on the raw data of what we have in the hospital. And the next dimension, which is extremely important, what we are working on, is fair data. And because this is absolutely necessary if you want to build collaboration and if you want to be able to position an institution as a leader in terms of collaborating on advancing research and innovation. So for this, the example, and I think this is the key activity we are doing, is really to work on the quality of the data and the standardization of the data. For this, we are really following and working in very tight collaboration with SPHN and the 4 other university hospitals, applying the SPHN semantic interoperability framework, where we are really working at progressing in the coding, in the standardization of the data by applying some international coding like LOING, like SOMED, but as well with the interoperability of exchange formats and following the RDF schemas that are being built across Switzerland through the SPHN semantic interoperability framework. So this is key. I think the best example is everything has this enable the seamlessly understandable data of data both by human and machine. It's a lot of work of data curation and alignment, and there is a first focus on the key data we believe are for the key data for research, lab data, results, medication. We are also working on diagnosis at the CHUV. And of course, the key example I will give here are the work we are currently doing on the SPHN project, the national data stream, the demonstrators, where now all the hospitals which are part of the 5 university hospitals, but the list is increasing, we can deliver data which is harmonized, which is interoperable, the federated query system, which enable to do this cohort exploration at not only one hospital, but including the 5 university hospitals, and to go towards tools enabling federated analytics, where we can enable privacy-preserving analytics across several hospitals, while the data stay in the hospital and the researchers see the aggregated results. And this is the very strong dimension also of what we are doing and enabling this fair data by working really at the standardization of the data in the hospital. And the third dimension I want to highlight is also some examples of the work we are doing. And it's kind of a revolution for an hospital to move toward artificial intelligence and data science, revolution in terms of IT, I would say, because we are now working on data that 6 years ago were not at all in the scope of what we are doing. So we need to enable the tools, we need to enable the platforms so that these data scientists can work with that. So for example, when I was saying the way, if you look at the bottom of the screen, we are currently we have implemented MLOps pipelines. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you have the data warehouse and what we are doing. And on the top left, you have the data scientists. And then there is a lot of tools which we have implemented to enable kind of automating, to automate it, the generation of AI models. And this is also a big change for a university hospital to get knowledge about those tools, to get the people who have the knowledge. We also build, of course, we are not alone. We are working with partners. We have those knowledge. But this is also a big change that is currently ongoing within the university hospital. And this, where we want to go, where we see the potential for this, I will give some examples. The potential, we see it at different level for university hospital. The development of data science, we see its big potential at the medical domain, as well as the administrative domain, and as well as in the nursing domain. So just to highlight with those 3 examples in each domain. So currently, in partnership with the Swiss Data Science Center, we are working with the data science team from the Biomedical Data Science Center is working on the implementation of an AI-based solution to detect and prevent sepsis cases by being able to deliver indicators about the risk of sepsis for certain patients, which has the potential to reduce mortality, but also to improve the admin and the medical coding within an institution. Regarding administration, a lot of work which is done today in the hospital is based on text, on exit letter from the hospital, on reports and so on. And then there is a big potential with the development of AI to make big improvement in the way we can use and get insights out of those texts. An example here is something that we are doing with the medical coding department at the CHUV, where we are implementing an AI-based solution to be able to go to screen from the exit letter from all the information that the coders get from the stay of a patient, to be able to quickly identify the complexity of the case and the complexity of the coding, which will be behind, to ensure that once we have identified the complexity, we make sure that the senior personnel, the person with expertise will be dedicated to those complex cases, where more junior people can handle the more simple case, I would say the more standard cases. So this really, we see it really a big benefit for better repartition of work within the code unit. Also, of course, a better coding itself, which potentially will bring financial gain, but this is yet to be measured. And the last example is also something that the CHUV is also doing in collaboration with the data scientist from Data Science Center, the Swiss Data Science Center, is also to develop AI-based solution to predict the risk of developing complication for people having long stays in the hospital, and mainly all patients. So this also is to work on a better organization of work for healthcare workers, if we can send some alerts, some identification of where complication can be, and of course, ultimately could improve the security and the quality of life for those hospitalized patients. As I mentioned in the title, those examples, currently they are research projects. We see very good results in some cases. We have a tight collaboration with also the clinical worlds. But now the question is also how to bring this to the clinical worlds. How is it recognized? How can we trust it? This is the next step dimension that we are currently addressing. But this is also, when I said at the beginning, what we are really targeting to support is the tomorrow's data-driven care. This is some examples of what is currently being done at the CHUV. And the last example, I think, but not the least, is really to work for the researchers themselves. That what I've shown you, we have developing a lot of staff. We are also onboarding and working with partners to develop all this data science and these new skills. But it's not so easy for those researchers today to come and to use those tools. They are a bit spread around. They arrive with also new requirements, with new tools and so on. So we are building a platform which is called Horus Analytics. It's under development, which the goal is really to enable researchers to be able really to focus on deriving insights rather than worrying about processes and administrative tasks before they can start working. So here the idea is really to provide them with a trusted research environment to run analysis and developing algorithm, which could be, the goal is that it's becoming a one-stop shop for the data apps and services. So for example, all the Horus apps, which have demonstrated, they would have them here, all the apps that they need to run their projects, to run their data science, to build their data science model are integrated, and they can work on a platform which is designed to ensure data privacy and security, and having some differential privacy setting, having some synthetic data and policy-based control. And this is something we are really doing in a user-centric way, because we see, as I mentioned, there is also a lot, but we see the complexity for the researchers to work. So we really work with researchers and involve them to have a user-centric platform. And this, we expect as well that it will be a facilitator for future scientific collaboration. So this was to present you a bit more the scope of this Horus. I went to the concept to give concretely what does it mean, how the architecture, the high-level architecture look like, some example of what is being built. And of course, this has not been built in one day. It has really been initiated. The big boost was really the start of SPHN and the strong financial support, and not only support, but the collaboration which has been built through the SPHN. That in 2017, the CHUV has set up the CHUV IT Data Science team, which I'm currently heading, with the first release of Horus, with the first thing which have been delivered and built is still being enhanced and so on, but it has been built for the first release, is what we call the foundation, with this Horus data warehouse, the consent, biobank, the explorer. Then, I linked it a bit with the phase of SPHN in 2022, we were able then to also expand organizationally in the CHUV. There has been the setup of the Biomedical Data Science Center, which is a department dedicated to really promote data science, artificial intelligence for research at the CHUV. This is also, as I mentioned, in 2023, that the Data Governance Board has been built in the CHUV. And from the IT perspective, there has been the setup of an enterprise data architecture group, which is now established and also evolving and getting more and more important. And then through those years, this is where we could not only focus on the foundation of getting the data centralized and so on, but also focus on these end users and on the sphere data by starting the Horus Analytics, the MLOps pipeline, all the SPHN tools which are now available, And we keep on also keeping on enhancing always with the registry and with omics and biosamples. And then what we see, I think it has been great achievements. We are really moving towards this data-driven mindset, I would say, and infrastructures. And of course, there was the financing of this that the hospital has contributed. SPHN has, for a big part as well, contributed some other project. And we arrived to a phase a bit of uncertainty. This is a lot of work currently for many actors which are involved in the project. Is what the after 2024, when SPHN will stop, because we need to ensure that after 2025, we sustain and we keep evolving this ecosystem through stable financing to keep the light on everything which has been done. And we'll continue, because I think what we have done so far and is not the end. It was, I would say, it's the beginning, but we are on the way, but it's far from being finished. And I think this is something that is not a project-based thing. It's something which needs to continue on a stable rhythm. And one of the things we are also working is also the convergence with clinical and research data products, because talking about data, talking about standardization of data, of course, data come from the clinical world. It's very important that we are not continuing standardizing data retrospectively, but that data gets correct at the source. And I think in many hospitals, we are now at the point of changing systems, of changing the IT landscape, and having this data mindset is very important to ensure that in those big evolution of the IT landscape, data and data standardization, data quality is taken from the source. And for this, at the CHUV, the next step would be to move from, when I presented at the beginning, I talk about research and innovation data trust strategy, but to move then to a CHUV data strategy, which encompasses the two. And to keep on working on platforms which are enabling both clinical and research to ensure that the data is taken as a whole for the organization. So just to highlight as well the organizational impact of what is being built, and this is why I also say the importance of stabilizing all this and for the future. I think for the hospital, it has the big changes that we have bring really a set of new skills since 2017. So with the Biomedical Data Science Center, we have built really the team with competencies in analytics, innovation, AI, having a data scientists, data analysts, AI experts, DevOps, which are now within the hospital, or we have built collaboration with external institutions. I mentioned SDSC, where they have the expertise and we work in close collaboration. From the IT, we have now also a new type of resource, which we didn't have in the past: data engineers, data managers, data product owners, semantic experts, DevOps. So all this expertise is now built in the hospital, and for having in the process of finding those resources, because they are not only, all industry are requiring those skills. It's really a challenge to find them on the market. But I think now every hospital have really improved a lot, and it's very important to sustain that. And those new skills as well, they enable also to go to those new technologies and this evolution and that the IT domains are going through. And to have these new skills with new technology is a must to continue the journey. So the conclusion, what I see as our challenges and our needs, I would say, as I mentioned, data standardization and fair data for me is something, it's really a must, is something which is a long-lasting activity, which require both medical and data expertise, which require the two domains really to work closely together. I think what we have achieved in these years, and thanks to also SPHN and the SPHN interoperability framework, is to make some very good progress, to highlight, to make also big awareness on the organization of that, the importance of it. And we are the journey is far from being finished, so we need to continue. The legal framework at all levels, the cantonal, federal, international, to ensure that we can move, that what we are doing is okay, that we are managing correctly our data. And this going together with the fast emergence of the technologies and the use of the cloud services, which are the two legal framework, and this fast evolution are something sometimes a bit tough for the people working on data to make those two things working together and ensuring that the things are moving forward. And as I mentioned, the needs is really to have some sustainability finance model. If we want to ensure that we keep the integrity, the collaboration, I think we need to ensure that we don't go through in the future in a project-based approach of keeping this going, because now I think with SPHN, what has this collaboration that has been built to ensure this coherence, how the different hospitals are addressing those domains. I hope you have seen the similarities now through those 4 presentations of what we are doing, and we need that this continues to keep this momentum brought by SPHN. And as I mentioned, for an hospital is also to bring more from an hospital-centric approach to bring those data projects to clinic and research together. And yes, to re-emphasize this is very, for me, as I see it, is really key to continue the journey towards fair data and to sustain the expertise, as I mentioned, all those resources which have been, which are now here with this knowledge to enable to move towards those data-driven care, the collaboration and the engagement that has been built through the SPHN network. So acknowledgement, as the last slide, of course, there are a lot of people working on this initiative. I just list, of course, plenty of them. So it's, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a collaborative work between different functions. Within the hospital, of course, I will say a particular thanks to Nicolas Rosa, who has really initiated this with a vision and also a drive to make it happen at the CHUV. Together with Professor Jean-Louis Rezaro, working in the Biomedical Data Science Center, who is here from the beginning as well, with a vision and also on those evolution of AI and privacy as well, and leading those initiatives to move forward. And as I mentioned, also the strong sponsorship from the Professor Mauro Odo, who is the Directorate of Innovation and Research at CHUV, which is really supporting a lot and sponsoring a lot this initiative. I've also highlighted all my team here. And of course, all the network that we have through the SPHN and through the Hospital IT Strategic Board, where we have all the representatives which are also running those webinars from the other hospitals. So I thank you for your attention, and I think now it's time for questions.
Thank you so much, Solange. This has been a very informative presentation on absolutely impressive infrastructures and processes that you have built up here in the last years. You get a lot of clapping hands here.